Hello and welcome back everyone. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Killer Symmetry. And you can see there a killer literally walking on water there, but with a reflection towards Sleuth. And I don't know about you, Sleuth, but if you've got a killer that can literally walk on water, I don't know he should be sort of pausing there, readying to sort of draw arms. He should be running away. Now the only thing sort of to say before we actually get into the puzzle is it almost feels like all the constructors that we've been featuring in the past couple of months have been getting together and making sure that we get tons of classic Sudoku. Or I should say, a blend of classic Sudoku and variant Sudoku. Because I'm just, as soon as you see the grid that I'm going to bring up, it feels like we're going to have to use a lot of classic tricks to make progress. But we'll see all about that. Let me bring it up now. So, Killer Symmetry by Dr. Logic. And we've got the following set of rules. Of course, normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means place the digits 1 to 9 in once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. That's normal Sudoku rules. Normal killer cage rules. So digits in a cage cannot repeat and must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage. I think Dr. Logic was intending to say if given, but I sort of removed this from on the screen. So if we take a look at this 10 cage outlined by this sort of the dashed line there, it means that if this is a 2, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these two cells add up to 10, and the 10, as you can see, in the top left corner of the cage. Now, notice that Dr. Logic explicitly said numbers do not repeat in the cages. So, for example, this cage where these two cells do not see each other under normal Sudoku rules, you might think that they can actually repeat, but not in this case. They are part of the same cage and they cannot. Now, we also have Kropke dots. So white dots are digits that are separated by white dot must be consecutive. So if that's a 2, that would have to be 1 or 3 to be consecutive. Now, black dots must be in a ratio of 1 to 2. So if that's a 2, that could literally be 1, as in 1 to 2, or it could be 4. As long as one is double the other, you are good to go. Not all dots are given, so nothing wrong with us having something like this. That doesn't require a black dot, and nothing wrong with us having something like this, actually even better. That doesn't require a white dot. Now, the last thing that we have in here is the diagonal, and you can see here a positive blue line that is going from one end of the screen, well, one diagonal end of the screen to the next, and essentially what it's saying is digits cannot repeat on the marked diagonal. So if I put a 2 in here, I wouldn't be able to place a 2 in there. I am repeating a digit. Well, now the reason I kind of suspect that we're going to have to use a lot of classic rules is a lot of these cages, if you're familiar with killer cages, seem to be not given. So clearly the break-in is not necessarily about killer cages, but I don't want to give away any secrets right now. All that's left to say is if you're not intimidated by a killer with symmetry in a lake walking on water, link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, all that's left to do is for me to restart the clock and see how I get on. So yeah, the only cage where the digits are known was the 24 cage. In 3 cells, 24 is forced, especially if all the digits cannot repeat, to be 7, 8, and 9. No other 3 digits can actually get there. And if I have a look, other places where I traditionally break in, black dots where there's a run of 3. We don't have those today, they're only a run of 2 at most. 22 cage is not forced. That could be done in one of 2 ways, I'm going to say. 6, 7, and 9. And 5, 8, and 9. 15, very average. It's literally average. And it also is, if you're familiar with kind of classic Sudoku, since you have to place the digits 1 to 9 in every box, when you add them all up, they add up to 45. Now, we have 15 in here. It actually tells us that these add up to 30. Given a total in the box is 45, it's telling us that these 3 cells must be, also 15. Now, it doesn't help us in box 3, but it looks like it will help us in box 7. 19, 19, that's 38, meaning there is a remainder of 7 in 3 cells. And I can tell you that is forced. That can only be 1, 2, and 4. And actually now going back to box 3, where I said this is 15, that feels actually quite tough now. Because once you've removed 1, 2, and 4, I think the only option that is left is 3, 5, and 7. So I clearly need a digit below 5, and the only one that's available is 3. Now, if I try anything else other than 5 and 7, because the remainder is 12, well, 5, 7 is available, 4, 8 isn't, and 3, 9 isn't because I just placed it here. So that is 3, 5, 7, and this is on a black crop key dot. So 5 and 7 are not allowed to be here. That's a 3. That's our first digit 2 minutes in, and that's a 6. We now have 2 digits that add up to 9 in here. Well, oh yeah, that is forced. That is 1, 8. 2, 7 not available. 3, 6 not available. And 4, 5 not available. So we know what that is. Let's see if we can keep going with this. I mean, we obviously know what these are. This is going to be 2, 4, and 9. And we now know what these are, because we basically written everything else on the diagonal. So this is 6, 8, and 9. 9 can't go in a black crop key dot. 8 and 6 only have one partner, which is 3 and 4. And obviously 6, 8, and 9, seeing a 7, 8, 9 cell, that is forced. That's got to be a 7. That's an 8, 9 pair. We are well on our way truly for this puzzle now. I say that, famous last words, and then I immediately pause. So where am I going to go next? So I'm kind of tempted to think what I haven't really looked at. So I haven't looked at this 14 cage. That may be tempting. But I'm also thinking that this is the last thing that I've done. So I should be, actually, hang on. 22 cage. I said there's only two ways of doing this, 5, 8, 9 and 6, 7, 9. Now, I need a 9 in this cage. It's clearly not in here because I've already written 6, 8, 9. So that's the 9. Now, I need one of 5, 8 or 6, 7 in here. And 6, 7, not available. 5 and 8, only 5 is available. So that's the 5. That's an 8, 9 pair. Which actually makes this 10 cage somewhat interesting. And I was actually also tempted in this 10 cage earlier, just sort of going up that column. So, and the reason they're tempting is, if you think about 10 cages, they have to be made up of a low digit and a high digit. And in both 10 cages, the 8 and 9s are removing these as options. So essentially, the only two options that are available for these is 3, 7 and 4, 6. This one is actually very interesting. I think this has to be a 4. But let's just think through this. So I said 3, 7. That would be forced to be this way. Doesn't work. And then 4, 6, well, that 6 tells us that's the 6, that's the 4. 8 is not available, so that's a 2. That's now forced to be a 1. That's a 2, 4 pair. We need a 7 in this row, and this 7 is telling us it's not in this cell, so there is a 7 in here in this 19 cage. We need to make a 12 in here, and 7, 5 is not available. 4, 8 is not available, so this is 3, 9, 7. This 8, 9 gives us a 9 in here. That's a 3, 7. And that's a 5. That's a lovely flow of digits there. Let's see if we can carry on. We've already placed 1, 2, 4, and 3. This is 6 or 8. Well, actually, we've got an 8 looking at it. So that's a 6. That's a 3. Now, the remaining digits of 5 and 8. I'm hoping all of that adds up to 19. Yes, it does. The 8, again, giving more dividends with 5 and 8 in here. Can we do anything with this 9 cage quickly now? Well, so 1, 8 is still available, 2, 7 isn't, 3, 6 isn't, and 4, 5 isn't. So this is forced again. Actually, it's known. That's an 8. That's a 1. This 2 gives us a 2 up here and a 4, 9 pair. Can we do more? Yes, we can. Look at these 3s. removing all these options except this 3. I also need a 5, a 7, and a 9. That 9 is placed. That's a 5-7 pair. And I don't know the order. I don't know the order, but that's not entirely true. I've got 1-8. 1-8 is a pair. Looking into this 14 cage, or so I should say, eliminating in box 9 these 2 rows, so these 2 columns. So 1 and 8 are forced in here that add up to 9. Joining them has to be a 5 to make it 14. So this is 158. That's not a 5. That's not a 5. Can't be on a black Kropke dot. That's the 5. That would be 2 or 4. Not known, but I can actually fill this in. This is 7. This is 5. This is 7. This is 5. That 10 cage that was tempted a long time ago by, we've got 6, 8, and 9 done now. This can only be 7 and 3. That 7, well, and that 3 as well gives me the order. That's 7 and 3. I'm kind of rapidly running out of Sudoku, like variant rules. So I'm making good progress. I'm sort of just having a look around for, I've got these to go. Okay, so there's a decent number left, but I mean, feels premature to be looking here. Almost. I've got a loose 2-4. Clearly a 4 is never in an 8 cage or a 2-cell 8 cage because that would require a double 4. That's not going to work. But essentially I've got a 2-4 and a 1. Now 1 does work with a 7. 2 would require a 6, so unfortunately that still works. 4 weeks already established doesn't. So at this point I've got essentially a 2-4 and a 6-7 to complete this row. And then I have another 1-2-4. Not sure I have enough information to actually solve this right now. This 10 cage only sees a 6, not very useful compared to having 6, 8, and 9, seeing the 10 cage and then forcing a 3-7. Oh, come on. Don't slow down now. This black Kropke dot. Maybe what I should do is just a bit more classic Sudoku, so to speak. Then come back and finish later. 5s, for example, are up there. If that's a 5, that would be 4 or 6. No real issue. This, well, it's not 3-6. We've got 3s looking at it. It could be 1-2. I don't think that causes a problem. No, other way around. 1-2. It could be 2-4. And I guess 4-8 could be any of them, really. So these are all the options, and I'm not sure that they're helpful, if I'm honest. Yeah, back to classic Sudoku. Let's just do things that we can do right now. What do we have in here? We need 3, 7, and 6. So 3, 6, 7. That's not a 7. We need another 2, 4, and a 9, I'm going to say. So 2, 4, 9. None of this is helpful, by the way. And I'm kind of like aiming at random at this point, just having a look around. I mean, that's an obvious one. That's a 3. That's a 4. Come on, Sleuth. That was there a while. I'm sure a few of you were screaming at your screen saying, just pay attention, Sleuth. That's a 2. Now, these are 4, 8. What can this be? Still a few options. It could be 1, 2, or 3, 6. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure I see any problems with either right now. Five's not here, 5's not there, 5 is not here, that's placed. Again, 5 can never be on a black Kropke dot. Double of 5 would be 10, too big. Half of 5 would be 2.5, can't place that in a Sudoku. 7, you can see now, has to be on here, and 8's not available. That's a 6, 7. Therefore, that's a 1, 2, and that is a 3, which gives me a 6. None of these are 6. I mean, in fact, that's not a 7 either. That's a 3. That's a 7. Does that give me anything? It gives me the 4 and 2 because of this 1-2 pair looking at this 2-4. Can I take this further? That 6 gives me the 9, the 6, 9, not quite. Well, hang on. Almost helpful. Gets rid of the 8 as an option. And which means it's not a 2-4, sorry, 4-8 option. So that's just 2, and this is 1 or 4. Sorry, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything else that's in here before I move on. That 8, how long has that been there? 1, 8, 4. That's not a 4 either. That's 2, 9. That's a 2. That's a 9. Right, good thing I came back. 8, because that's basically pretty much solved at this point. We know what this digit is. It is 2, which gives me a 1, a 7. That's a 4 now from that earlier 2, 4. I need a 2 somewhere in here. That's got to be in there. I need a 6 to complete this box / row. That 4 is looking up here. That's a 1. That's putting a 1 down there with Sudoku because of these 2 1s. That's a 3. And that's a 4 to complete this box. Right. Very much on the home stretch now. We know this digit. I think that's a 7. Therefore, that's a 3. Haven't really learned anything about this 5 anymore. But what are the remaining digits? We've got 5 and 8, which gives us a lot of options in here. So maybe not worthwhile looking at that just yet. We've got 1, 2, 3. We need 4, 6, and 9. Ironically, all of them work with this white Kropki dot. Do I know anything about these? Yeah, I do. 3 gives me the 7, the 6, the 3, 7. So I should be able to actually pencil mark these in at least. 1s are in here. 4s could be anywhere. Okay. And 9 could be anywhere. Now, with uniqueness, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the one. Otherwise, we'll end up with 4 9s and then 2 possible answers to this. But we won't use that today. We will just prove it is unique rather than assume it is. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5, 6, and 8 in here. That's not the 5. Right. That's a lot more options than I was expecting. I was kind of thinking that by now, having filled all of these in, I would have spotted a digit that's just sort of eliminated that makes sense. Let's have a think about this. So, I mean, 9 and 8 do not work. No, they do. That would be 4. That would be 1. And it would break this cell. That can't be the way that Dr. Logic was intending us to solve this at this point. Is there nothing else? Yeah, we've got a 4, 9 pair, which gives us a 6. That's probably better. And then that's not a 6, that's a 5, 8. That's another 5, 8 pair. So at least row 1, that's as far as we were meant to take it. These are not 6. That gives me another 4, 9 pair. That forces the one that we were discussing earlier. And that one gives me the 8. That's probably kind of the easier path to a solution. And that 6, was that all there all the time? It may have been. And that would have given me the 8, the 5, the 6. Yeah, that 5 is looking at this 8, which now gives me a 5 in here, which has to be a 4, a 9, a 4, a 9, 4, and 9. It's a lovely puzzle, Dr. Logic. Up there with many of your phenomenal ones. I think probably the diamond ones are still some of my favorite, just because you had to reason quite a bit about the possible options. But this is still a phenomenal puzzle. I loved the break-in. I don't think there's really any other way we could have placed all of these. Giving us the 6, 8, 9, the 7. So all of that was, it was pretty smooth. But I think that blend of classic and variant that, I'd say I've been struggling with, but I'm getting better with all of the recent puzzles from you guys. That's forcing me to actually have to use both at the same time constantly. So, only thing left to say is thank you very much for the puzzle, Dr. Logic. I hope that you guys have also enjoyed the puzzle and the video. And see you back for the next one. Bye bye for now.